Welcome to a segment on community gardens. I'm David Gass, director of the Highlands Coalition, a neighborhood group in the Highlands of Lynn. And we want to tell you about what we've done with community gardens the last 8 years. We started at the Ford School. We built the community garden in which all the kids at the school participated and learned how to grow vegetables. And recently the garden was reduced in size. But we had found out that the kids were very heavy, eating bad food. 56% of the kids were overweight or obese. And we wanted them to learn how to eat good food. So we started a garden nearby at Cook Street Park, which was the first garden in Lynn in a park in 70 years, since the Victory Gardens that our families were part of 70 years ago. And it has grown to about almost 40 plots. And we have plots for you. We have a greenhouse nearby where we have 1,000 plants growing, all these little children, I call them, growing right now, many plants. We'll give you plants and seeds and teach you how to grow food. So we want you to be part of this. I want to talk to Cherish Casey, who has participated in the garden for the 4th year now with her mother and her son, who loves the garden, and talk about what impresses you about the garden. What have you learned from that?
The most impressive thing about the garden for me is honestly the cross-cultural experience. When I first came, there was a woman that would come up there with 4 of her children. One was tied on her back, and then the rest were all walking behind her. And I just found it very interesting to, even though we didn't speak the same language, she spoke Spanish, we were able to communicate with each other because our intersection was food. And another thing that I found very interesting about the garden was that time when we went up to the garden and there was this family from Cameroon that took about, I believe, was it 4 plots that they took? About 4 or 5 plots that they took, and when their vegetables or whatever they were growing started to grow, it looked like weeds to us, and we freaked out and we were like, oh my gosh, all of these weeds are strangling their crops. Maybe this is why nothing is growing. But then when we talked to the family, we found out that it was something called callaloo.
Amaranth
Amaranth, yes. Amaranth. And, but they call it callaloo.
Callaloo, yeah.
And I think that is the most interesting experience because Lynn is such a diverse community. And many of us, it's natural for us to stay in our own little circles. So this garden gives us an opportunity for us to really get to know each other and know our neighbors. And
it's interesting that amaranth, which I knew nothing about, has more protein and calcium than wheat, barley, and rye. Our grains, it's a grain that sustained West Africa for a long time. So we learned geography, math, every subject you can think of, science, and it's about nutrition. Tell us about what we worked with the families. Like last summer, we had the Hay Club, and we had that. We
because a lot of the issues as far as health that a lot of us in community have can be fixed with food. So we started educating the community through this Hay Club, this club that was in the garden, and teaching, starting from youth of the children, and teaching them that, how to garden and what's nutrition and how to distinguish between processed foods and healthy foods. And so it's been a really educational experience for the community.
They say that less than 1% of the people who die are from gunshots, and 60% or more die from food. Let's talk about that a little bit. I had my heart attack and triple bypass several years ago. I went vegetarian because I had been eating all the junk food, all the bacon. I cooked with bacon fat, double cheeseburger, double cheese on pizza, and all this stuff. And now I've changed to a healthier diet, and I feel better and exercise, and I get my protein from beans and nuts. And that's the way I feel about it. But other people mix things, and how do we deal with all the different, what do we do with the garden with a plot, for example, and what are we offering people as a way to teach them how to eat? Because surrounding the Highlands and surrounding Lynn is pretty much a food desert. You
So
know?
we've pretty much created this like timeline around the edge, around this gate of the garden, where we actually have visuals for the children and for the community to see and distinguish between what's not healthy and what is healthy. And even within the garden, we of course do a lot of education on the different types of herbs and plants that we have and how that can benefit
Very good, yes.
the whole body.
Yeah, this Saturday we'll open the garden. It's April 30th, and between 10 and 1, anybody, we have almost 40 plots there now. Thanks to the Parks Commission, we were able to open this. And the gangs don't show up anymore. There are problems at the park, like all parks, but the gangs don't show up, so we've changed it. We want to bring families down to it, and this Saturday at 10 to 1, come down to the Cook Street Park Garden. Come down to 195 Beacon Hill Avenue if you GPS it, and walk down the stairs, and we could talk to help us with compost. We're recycling water from the roof, all kinds of modern things. We are establishing drip irrigation there, very advanced stuff, so that we can do sustainable farming. So tell us about what your son's reaction was to this. He jumps around every time he comes to the garden.
Yes, so my son is 5 years old now, and he has really owned gardening. He, for himself, even within his preschool classroom, they were talking about gardening and how seeds grow. And the teachers were so amazed at seeing that he knew like he drew the ground at 5 years old. He grew a seed in the ground, and then there was a watering can next to the seed, because he said that, of course, plants need water to grow. And then there was the sun shining in the sky and a person helping the plants grow. So he's really owned gardening at such a young age, and really loves going up to the garden and wants to come and wants to get a shovel and dig in the ground and find any way he can help.
This was all about because a former Lynn resident named Frederick Douglass said that it's easier to change children than to change stubborn older people. And that's where we want to start, with children and their families, immigrant families, to come, and we'll find the language for you. You can find us on hclynn.co, our website, or the Facebook page, which is Cook Street, written out S-T-R-E-E-T, Cook Street Community Garden.org, whatever it is.
It's on Facebook.
And then you'll find it that way.
Right.
So please join us. So it's a community garden, and it's open to everybody.